the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy.
What is this round?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this, the chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council that is, stood up and say the proper grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go here. I said I would continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I say, all is well with that idea. But guess what? The grand body still is. The grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.
What is this round?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this, the chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council that is, stood up and say the proper grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go here. And I said I would continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I say, all is well with that idea. Well, guess what? The grand body still, but the grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.
What is this round? What is this that surrounds me? Allah's loving arms. What is this that holds me? Allah's hand.
The controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy.
What is this round?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this, the chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council that is, stood up and say the proper grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No joke, that won't go. That won't go. Yeah. I said I will continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you the supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I say, all is well with that idea. Well, guess what? The grand body still is. The grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. What is this?
Islam, Islam, Islam.
Islam.
Bismillah, Bismillah.
Bismillah, Bismillah.
This time we'll be opening up with prayer. Forward, hold fast. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love,
Truth,
peace,
freedom,
and
justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
and
my salvation,
my salvation.
By night
and
by day,
through
his holy prophet,
Jurali.
Amen.
Islam. Yes, sir.
Giving all praises to Allah, giving highest honors to our holy and divine prophet, noble Jurali. And we give honors to all who are viewing this evening. Let the truth be told.
Yes.
Without further ado, we are going to turn this meeting over to our Supreme Grand Sheikh, our Sheikh of Islam here in the West. We affectionately call Sheikh Dr. Braswell, the Chief of Ministers.
Yes.
The Moorish Mahdi, which means reformer.
Yes.
Says if you pay attention, your mind should be reformed. If not, there's still hope for you. We leave you as we came. That's in peace, love, praises unto Allah. Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah. Almighty.
Tonight, can they see me?
Yes, sir.
Tonight, our subject is as the truth unfolds. And the truth unfolds deals with the only problem with the Moorish Sign Temple of America is members in the Moorish Sign Temple, especially the leadership. The leadership is foul. I'm looking for the thing now with Braswell Bey, and I tell all y'all to go look at it. It's Braswell Bey between the two sisters, and they're demonstrating about the temple, the vote. The temple don't vote, this and that. And the brother on the tape is asking the questions of Braswell Bey. First question he asked, he said, well, you know, if you got all your friends around, you just putting your friends on the Supreme Council, then they're going to be yes men. They're just going to, whatever you say, they're going to go for. He said, no. He said, see, wasn't no subordinate when we were starting. We had no subordinate temple. So we had to pick from our little small temple, our temple group. And I'm like, why are you lying off both legs? Now, the Supreme Council didn't get to sit down. I got the 1994, so I'm not looking for that. If the Supreme Council, he said that was going to solve the Moorish problem, then you have to ask yourself, how in the hell you form the Supreme Council going to end all the problems? And they're all your members. They're all your members. How are you going to resolve this problem? The only people you got on is your members. Now, the lie is, wasn't no subordinate temple. Wait a minute. Now, the Supreme Council didn't sit down to 1994. Okay. Let me show y'all something. If they didn't sit down in 1994, question becomes, when did I join? Now, my warrant of authority, check this warrant of authority out. Now, I got a warrant of authority from them, and 1993. That's the morning authority. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
1993. And it says this. Moorish Science of America, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder. I, Brother P. Davis Hill, Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science of America, and chairman of the Supreme Body of the Moorish Science of America, do hereby issue a warrant of authority on this day, July 20th, 1993. The Moorish Science of America derives the power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and learn the truth of the great God of Allah in America. To appoint, anoint, and consecrate missionaries of the Prophet and establish the faith of Muhammad in America. This warrant of authority gives Brother Rael the power in the state of California to act as official of the Moorish Science Temple of America through the guidance of the Supreme Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Home Office anytime can suspend, revoke, or take away this warrant of authority if it is in the judgment of the Grand Sheik or Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America with the assistance of the Prophet. This said branch has been violating the law. Now, this is stuff. Now, our temple number 20. In 1992, I want y'all to think about that. He lied and said there was no subordinate temple in their body. Now, I can prove my point. Now, I want y'all to watch this video. I'm trying to find it. And the Negro say this.
Oh, yeah.
You got it?
We're doing 3 on it, yeah.
Huh?
Braswell Bey.
Yeah, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Put it on there. Put it where I can hear it. The most he got, he's finna put it up there.
This authority. So how do we know or understand that it's done according to Drew Ali?
The prophet said, tried and true, number one. Number two, there was no temples. Who are you going to point?
Stop it right there. Stop right there.
There was no subordinate temple. So who are you going to?
Wait a minute. He said there was no subordinate temple. When I play a little more, I want to show something. I'm sorry.
Pick through? Who do you going to select? If since P. Davis still looked amongst us who were there, that he know that was tried and true, huh? Why not appoint him to fill those vacancies up? You don't know the rest of these people. There were no subordinate temples there, none.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm saying
To choose from.
you and P. Davis Hill, y'all just got here. Y'all didn't know that there was a Supreme Grand Council. Y'all didn't even know that there was a closing prayer.
But when we found out, we did it.
Okay, but y'all didn't know any of this stuff. And so when you didn't know it, and then you come in and you say, well, we're gonna do this here. Where did y'all get the information from on the Supreme Grand Council?
From the archives that Sister Millie Hill kept on the lock and key. From the archives, reading it over and over again, understanding it, and from the encouragement from Sister Griffin Seal, Sister Diane O'Neill Bay, Bad Judy, because they knew all of this.
Now,
They
this
looked quick.
is the catch. You didn't stop it? Now, this is the catch. He said there was no subordinate temples in. Now, I want y'all to listen because he's going to tell you about P. Davis Hill and him taking over the temple from Belle Hill. That was in 1992. Now, what was that in 1992? In 1992, I came up to Chicago to my convention because I was with Love Hill. And I came up there and I told Belle Hill, because I had to send him a couple $100 to get some stuff done for me. And he claimed he's going to do it, but he didn't do it. So I told him, I said, listen, you know I'm coming up there this year. If I don't get my stuff, I'm whooping your ass. That's how I told him. If I don't get my stuff, I'm whooping your ass. So, came to Chicago, left the convention, went over to their convention. I said, where my stuff at? He said, you come to my house, I give you the stuff that you want. I said, okay. Meanwhile, they had just elected him the Supreme Grand Sheik in September. Belle Hill became the Supreme Grand Sheik in September. So, I questioned him about my stuff, and this is what they told me. Braswell Bey, Belle Hill, Braswell Bey and Peters, and they pulled me and said, listen, Mom, won't you join us? Come over here because you know more than everybody over here about the prophet stuff. We need you, Mo. We formed the Supreme Grand Council, and we need you, Mo. I said, okay. I said, but I can't follow the homosexual. I refuse to follow homosexual. There's nothing, I like Belial, but he's homosexual. And I know the prophet put homosexuals out the temple. So I said, you get rid of Belial, I join. Now that was in September. That was in the month of September. I get a call in October and it said, Brother Rael, if we get rid of you, I say word is bond. I told him, I said, my word is bond with this. I'm gonna do this. No, if y'all do what y'all supposed to do. So that was in October. In November, I get a call, are you gonna come over here because we got rid of Belial? I said, yes, I'll join y'all. Now y'all got rid of Belial. So now, if they didn't become nothing but sheiks and stuff until I got there, they figured out something to hold against Belial so that P. Davis can get the spot. When I came over, I gave them all opportunity to do that. So they got rid of Belial. So P. Davis became the Supreme Grand Sheik. Braswell Bey became the Supreme Governor. And I joined. So now this Negro saying that there was no support in the temple. And I got the record. I became support in the temple in 93. That means I went to the convention in 93. And at that convention, we debated the issue about who could be on the Supreme Grand Council. And I told him, I said, man, you ain't got nobody qualified. These people here are all your flunkies. These people here don't know nothing. They ain't been in the temple 5 years. I said, y'all asked me to come over here because I know the law. These people don't know no law. Well, Mo, we have to form the body. We got to work with what we got to work with. I said, okay, we're going to do this then. You can put these people in office temporary until we get it straight. I know that was a mistake because they weren't going to do it. So they put these brothers and sisters in office. And the older sisters, down about these older sisters at the time, they were butt biters. When I say butt biters, that's what you say. If they did, you did, they go along with you. Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. Just like they on this tape, they lying. They know they were supporting the temple. Plus the fact they know they was de facto. Yes, I'm not saying Grand Temple number one wasn't Grand Temple number one. What I'm saying is it was de facto. We had no power and authority because Sister D. Mead-Leal that overthrew the prophet back in 1930. Mead-Leal was alive to 1934. The sister was writing up stuff for him because he had a nervous breakdown. It was time he had problems because I got the minutes around him. Whereas the brother went to a temple, he said, and he wrote me a letter. How you make this brother Grand Sheik? And so he said, I seen him with. He showed me his warrant of authority. He said, I didn't do that. I didn't send that brother no warrant of authority. His wife did. In the end, his wife took him down south to die. How you trust her? Your wife packed your stuff. You ain't hit her or nothing. She take you down south to die with your people. I got the certificate, a copy of the obituary. So your wife took you down south, and this is how they told her. Oh, she Rael. She put him down south. She rushed back so she can take charge of the temple to keep the temple right. I said, what was her position in the temple? Belial, Braswell Bey, P. Davis. They couldn't tell me what her position was, other than wife. Now, she had all the paperwork based on the fact that the Supreme Grand Sheik, the head of the temple, his home office is his house. When the prophet was alive, the address is to his house, home office. There's a difference between home office and the temple. So I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, all right, I see this. And I understand it because I had a master teacher. And I always talk about my teachers, and they heal. When you hear them talk, they don't talk about their teachers. You got to ask them about their teachers. If you notice on that tape, he never said Belial is his teacher. I ain't seen it all, so I can't say that. I shouldn't tell you that. But Belial is not his teacher. You don't give Belial no credit. He went over there to spy on them because Shanae sent him down there because they messed up the temple. When they was at 957, it had 11 temples. When they took it over, it went down to none. Right now, because of them, that Moore Scientific American owes $25,000 for the state, for the city to turn their building down because of them. Recently, Braswell Bey tried to get the city of Chicago, the county of Cook, to throw out Jones Bay paperwork. And the city told them the only thing they recognize Jones Bay, they don't recognize him. They say he's been consistent since 1930 something. Now, Braswell Bey is a liar. He's always been a liar. He's always been a thief. The name they gave him at 957, he said in history, they called both of them Heckle and Jekyll. There's letters I got where the brother called them Heckles and Jekylls. Because they had lied. They told the brother, we're having a special meeting. You come up here and we're going to demonstrate. So the brother was coming. What did they do? They called the brother and said, no, we cancel that, brother. We're going to do it another time. The brother said, okay. Now, the brother got complaints. He said, we can't do it right now because something happened to one of the brothers. The brother got a complaint. You know what they do? They had the meeting. Then they told him it wasn't no meeting no more. They had the meeting and say he was wrong and fired him and say he refused to come to the temple. So they fired him. That was their jest. They tell you we're having a meeting, but now we canceled it because such and such, and you don't come to the meeting. They having a meeting anyway. They fire you because they say you didn't attend the meeting. So anyway, Braswell Bey is saying it wasn't no subordinate temple. I was subordinate temple. I was temple number 20 in 1992. He said there ain't no subordinate temple. There was one mines. Now this is what they told me. Well, you be on the council. You can't be on the council because you're not here in Chicago. I said, I can call. I said, don't we have conference calls? I have one of them conference phones. I can speak to 5, 10 people at the same time. I said, y'all can call in. We can do a conference call. Well, no, it's okay. I said, all right, I see what time this is. So I'm in California. They got a subordinate temple, me. By the time they got ready to send the Supreme Grand Council in, they had 6 temples, subordinate temples. They had Temple 21 down here. They had Temple 23 in New York. They had Temple 22 in Mississippi. The guy that ran Mississippi, he's now talking he's somebody else. He's some noble group of Moors now. All right. That was another temple. I forgot. Well, 6 temples they had. During the time, Braswell Bey said there was no subordinate temple. Now, when I got there, we got to talking. I said, none of these brothers qualified. All they know is what you told them. They don't know nothing. There was an embarrassment when they opened their mouth. The supreme business manager, what he was doing, he was on the corner selling M&Ms, little bags of M&Ms and candy. And he's supposed to be the supreme business manager. He left them. So anyway, Braswell Bey say all this stuff to an audience that don't know nothing. To an audience that's believing what he's saying, and he's lying, because what they did was they wanted to be the head of the Moore Scientific America. If you look at the tape of them talking about the Moore Scientific America and the grand body, you hear him say, yes, the prophet had the grand body, and with the grand body we can solve problems How you gonna solve a problem if everybody in the temple is you? Everybody sitting on the Supreme Council is you, your flunkies. If you say yes, they did yes. Before you can finish saying yes out your mouth, they got the yes. Before you can say no, they got the no out their mouth with you. It's like y'all in branch membership thinking. Y'all got one mind. Because we was arguing one day, and I told y'all don't have no power and authority. The prophet didn't give y'all no power and authority to make law and enforce law. Act 1 doesn't give you that. Well, you know, Act 1 makes me the grand sheik and the chairman of the Moore Scientific. No, it doesn't. I just read it to y'all. Listen, let me read it again to y'all. It says, this one here says, by virtue of the authority vested in the most holy prophet of the Moore Scientific of America, by a legal granted charter of the state of Illinois, has granted this warrant of authority. Now check it. This warrant of authority to this branch of the Moore Scientific of San Francisco and the state of California to be styled as Temple Number 20. Invested with all power and privilege of a subordinate temple within the jurisdiction of said home office. Hear ye. The officers and members who benefit under this warrant of authority hereby pledge themselves to act at all times in obedience to the command and edicts of the illustrious prophet Noble Juali, founder head of the Moore Scientific of America. The home office at any time can suspend, revoke, or take away this warrant of authority if in the judgment of the Supreme Grand Sheik or the Supreme Grand Council, said subordinate temple has violated any principle or rules or regulations of Moore Scientific of America. In testimony thereof, I have thereon scribed my name and fixed it to the seal of the Moore Scientific of America this 27th day of February 1994, Chicago, state of Illinois. Now this is where they give me my warrant. Another warrant. Ain't that something? They gave me 2 warrants. That's how backwards they was. I would go up there and we would talk, and I would tell them, that ain't what the prophet said. That ain't what the prophet did. You know, Braswell Bey, he has this tendency to try to have his narrative. Not the truth, but the narrative he thinks you should have. The stuff he think you should have. I'm gonna prove that in the end, because when he tried to sneak and take me to court, he lost. Think about that. He tried to sneak and take me to court in 2005, and he lost. So all that stuff he's saying on this tape doesn't mean nothing. Because in his state of Illinois, where he lived at, I defeated him.
You have a question.
What's the question?
Creator of the boundless universe.
Yes.
What part does the brother Jose Permente Bey with Braswell Bey and MSTFA?
Well, Jose, I used to talk to him when he was in the college. When he was in college, I got his phone number and stuff upstairs when he was in the college. He just a member. Listen, when I was talking to him, he was a member of Temple 54, and I asked him, was he a sheik? So he said, no. He said, I'm just a here story. I said, okay then. I asked him. Then that's before he wrote the book of Theories. Yeah, I liked the book. But I asked him, I said, you keep telling me about these other people, but they're not members of the Moore Scientific of America. Let them out if they want to go out. Right. Yeah, huh? Right. That's right. Okay. So, Permente Bey is a good brother to a degree. I lost confidence in him when I seen him doing a lecture up front of a Christmas tree. He's at the Moore's house and they got a Christmas tree up and they talking at the dinner table. I lost confidence in him. I don't demonstrate in front of Christmas tree. Now, he knows stuff, and Braswell Bey used him as a token to draw people there, just like he did with Nakeem Bey. Nakeem Bey joined him, and he figured that's a drawing card. Y'all can follow behind him. Some of my ex-members ran over there. Roger Brewer and Bey, he went over there. But he knew everything already before he got there. Then he rediscovered Braswell Bey trying to sex the little women's in the temple. trying to have orgies with him and stuff. He left. What was that, about 4 or 5 years ago? He left. The other brothers left. They found out that the church they in is owned by the church, and Braswell Bey is up on the board or something. Now, Braswell Bey, that's it. He's the brother that got caught up with that idea. See, they pushed the idea. We do temple. We temple number one. This is what the prophet was. The prophet won't come back there now. As nasty as y'all is, your prophet, listen. I was sitting up there in the same, so I said, where your children at? They tell you they've been in the temple 50 years, but their children not in the temple. They've been in the temple 50 years, they boast. It's more than 50 years because they before I got there. Unless they're saying they was in the temple 2 years before me. I got 48 years in the temple. They said they got 50 years and their children not even in the temple. Think about that. They had children because Sister tried to talk crazy. And I said, you can't talk crazy to me. You ain't got no children. Huh? I said, sister, y'all talking all this family stuff, but your children's not in the MSTLA. My son, who I never got a chance to raise, try to be in the Moore Scientific America. Think about that. That's how powerful my genes are. That's how powerful my conversation is. That my son left Dr. York, joined the temple. I put him out. Then he went and formed his own temple. And y'all follow. Think about that. These sisters, as they say, was raised up in the temple with Sister Demi Lee and all that other stuff, but their children could stay in the temple. Most of Belial children, people ain't in the temple. They ain't in the temple. They disciples and everything else. They fly 6-pointed stars. Most of them like Belial because he was gay. So when we look at these things, we have to look at it right. Let me see what else I got here. Now, I think this is when I was made governor. See that? Can you see that? Okay. Now, this one here, I think this is the paper I was made governor at. Okay. Our brother P. Davis, the Grand Sheik of the Moore Scientific of the Supreme Grand Council of the Moore Scientific, hereby issue this warrant of authority on this date, July 20th, 1993. Moore Scientific power authority from the great Quran Muhammad, the Prophet faith. This warrant authority give Brother Ryan the power in the state of California to act as a Moore Scientific America, act as official of Moore Scientific America, the guidance of the Supreme Grand Council, and the Moore Scientific America. The home office been so that ain't the one they made. I'm trying to find the one where they made me the governor. Okay. So I want y'all to know they never gave a child away. From 2000, they never gave nobody a child. Now, how come we ain't got no child? Well, brother, y'all ain't giving out no child? Now, this what this one say. I, Brother P. Davis, the Grand Sheik of the Moore Scientific America, the sole officer acting of the Grand Body, hereby issue a personal warrant of authority on October 17, 1993 AD, derive my power and authority from Act 1 of the Divine Constitution bylaw about the power and authority vested in me by the Holy Prophet Noble Jolly. This warrant of authority give Brother Rael the same power and authority. Now, this gives Brother Rael the same. I'm gonna let y'all see it. He says, gives Brother Rael the same power and authority given originally to all grand governors and executive rulers during the lifetime of the Holy Prophet Noble Jolly in the state of California to act as the sole representative of the Moore Scientific America. As said power and authority is to propagate and extend and learn the truth, to initiate those who find fit, to make adepts, to appoint grand sheiks and set aside temples in the state. I could make adepts. I could set aside temples. Our brother P. Davis, the Grand Chief of Moore Scientific America, may at any time take away or suspend, revoke this warrant of authority if it is not judged the sole officer of the Moore Scientific America. This special warrant of authority is good for a term of 10 years from the date issued to Brother Rael, making him the sole officer representing the executive rule of the Moore Scientific America there in the state of California. Signed October 17, 1993. Attested by Brother P. Davis Hill, Grand Sheik and Chairman of the Supreme Grand Council. I want y'all to know, when he say he a chairman, he don't say he the chairman of the Moore Scientific America. He say he the chairman of the Supreme Council. That's what the prophet was. The Grand Sheik was Brother P. Davis Hill. I mean, the Grand Sheik was Brother E. Hill. Now we go to what happened when I discovered that there was no more Scientific America in the sense that the prophet had. Here you go. Now this is a letter. See? You can't see it. Now this is what this one say. To Brother Rael of the Moore Scientific America, Temple Number 2, California. Now it became Temple. I told y'all Temple 20 first. They made me Grand Temple Number 2. From Brother P. Davis Hill to the Sheik and Moore Scientific, Chairman of the Grand Council, Supreme Grand Council. Your October 6th attack, your October 1995 letter to the Supreme Grand Council. Brother Rael, I find your attack upon myself and the Supreme Council Grand Body to be shocking. Now, it says the Supreme Council and the Grand Body are one. The prophet didn't have that. To be shocking. And I'm giving you the following reason why I, as Supreme Grand Sheik, disagree with what you did during the last convention of 1995. And my response to your most challenging letter to me. 1, why would you blame the problems of the movement on this Supreme Grand Council, which has only existed for only 2 years? They say it's only existed 2 years. Yes, they on this Supreme Council who you say aren't really adeptly qualified, but they are all I have to work with at this hour. And you knew this, and you agreed to allow them on with the rest of them of the Grand Body back in the convention of 19, right? You even sent a letter to the fact of that. Am I right? I did agree. In order to keep continuing, that they want to set the Supreme Grand Council in office, but it wasn't bigger than the Grand Body. What they did in the secret meeting, they made the Supreme Grand Council Grand Body one the same. Now check it. 2. Now, as you also know full well that these problems developed many years ago following the overthrow of the prophet's central authority. When Sister D. Leal abandoned her husband, now you know what he say. When Sister D. Leal abandoned her husband, E. Leal, and she and her family took undue charge of the Grand Body. As you know that I am the very first real Supreme Grand Sheik since the time of Brother William Morrison Hill. And you and all the others have agreed not to reveal this fact, as we still have a multitude of open enemies and foes facing us, would instantly turn on us like wolves. 3, as you well know, Braswell Bey feels what Braswell Bey feels about you, especially in regards to you and my relationship as to why I accepted you into the fold here in the Grand Temple 1. Yes, he is jealous of you, and he fears you, that you will stand up against him when the time comes for a new Supreme Grand Sheik. He seeks to step in and try to take my position. 4, yes, we in the meeting of the Supreme Grand Council. Yes, Brother Ryan, we did have a meeting that you and all the other grand heads wasn't aware of until convention time. And yet we didn't intend to spring this idea of us redetermining that the Supreme Grand Council is identical to the term grand body. As we determine this based upon the fact there is still much confusion surrounding it, and to ensure that no outside interference would hinder our future growth and development, as it is established by the prophet Noble Dwelling. 5. As I previously said, that since the overthrowing of the first Supreme Grand Council, we determined that they are to be recognized as being one and the same as the grand body. And as you previously declared in a package to me, that they represent being our holy prophet in Act 1. So we actually in agreement with you. Now, since the divine constitution cannot be changed or overthrown by anyone connected with this body, I, as Supreme Grand Chief, will defend Act 1 of the divine constitution to its fullest. And all we have done is to allow all of you to have been designed to become members of the Grand Council to have a debate in this fact. It came to my surprise, or surprised me, that you would openly be against me and try every move here. 6. And yes, we should have given a temple report to all the other temples. I, as Supreme Grand Chief, will see that this is done from now on, because they weren't giving us no reports. And I complained about it. That meeting I didn't know nothing about. As being, now this is the last one, as being a executive ruler, you well know that it is hard for me to get Brother Braswell Bey to accept this. And you did agree to take your down and raise up our warrant of authority and personal warrant, which we gave you from here. Hopefully, you will come to see our position and adjust yourself to this, as I would not disband the present Supreme Grand Council in your favor. Please come to better terms with us. Try to overlook our mistakes and the errors. I expect to hear from you within 30 days upon receipt of this letter, as at that time we will clarify your desire to remain in this grand body to continue on your own, or continue on your own as you were. Now that was in, that was 1995, October. I was on the ass. Let's go to the letter where I took off. This is where I took off at. Morris, I'm going to show you that. Okay. This is what the letter says. To Brother Rael, from Brother E. Braswell Bey, Supreme Grand Company, dated October 7, 1996, regarding voluntary submission of warrant of authority. We received your warrant of authority on Friday, September 20th, 1996, that you voluntarily relinquished from Temple 2 in Oakland, California. On behalf of the Moore Scientific America Supreme Grand Council, we accept your voluntary relinquishment to the above warrant of authority on this day. Moreover, let it be known that we are legally disconnecting ourselves from you as a representative veteran etc. of the Moore Scientific America and National Moore's National Divine Movement North America. I wish you well. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. Sincerely, Braswell Bey, P. Davis Hill. They didn't fire me. I left. I got tired of that bull. They wouldn't give us copies of the minutes. They altered the minutes. They were changing stuff. And eventually, the other brothers up there left them too. Think about that. Eventually, those other brothers and sisters left them too. I had a personal warrant of authority, y'all, that gave me the power and authority to make adepts and sheets and to set it. That was one argument we had in 96, and they couldn't deny that. The other boys around the room said, "What? I ain't got that." I said, "It ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. I had more power and authority than anybody other than the Supreme Grand Chief and the Supreme Grand Governor." Think about that. They were trying to buy me off. Then they offered me the position, Supreme Grand Minister of the Moore Scientific America. They tried to buy me off. And I told them, hell to the no. You know you got to be bad when they're trying to buy you off. That's why I made that song, controversy. And you watch the video with Braswell Bey talking that bull with them two sisters. I was there. Now check it. When Pete Ezell took over the Moore Scientific America in 1992 in October, I was there in November. So if I was there in November, I had a temple. They had what? A subordinate temple. If P. Davis Hill, as he says, took office in 1992, in October, when Bel-Air resigned in October 1992, in November 1992, I joined them. So if I came, my temple came. So they did have a subordinate temple. How you lie like that? See, they don't have no faith in the prophet. See, the prophet said there's 3 steps to him: belief, faith, and fruition. In order to get to the law, you got to have belief, faith, and fruition. And I had all. Now I'm in the fruition. That's why I talk like I talk and do what I'm doing. I got mine. And I'm trying to get you yours. But you listen to all these liars. Wait a minute. Show this now. I'll show it. I got to cut the sound off. Let me see. Cut off my Bluetooth. Go here. Now watch this. See that? What that say? Can you see it? Can you get it on yours? Look on yours. See 1994. The official sitting of the Supreme Grand Council did not happen until 1994. It should be under. You got it? It's 1994. You got 1994 convention. Yes, sir. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wait a minute. Don't play. Let me put my earphones back on. Okay, let me put my earphones back on. My earbuds. See? Okay. Yeah. No, I can't get it. Cut it off and cut it back on. There you go. Go ahead and play it, man. Now this play here, there you go. Blow it up, kid. Blow the screen up. That's all you got, okay. That's good, man. Now notice it. This is the city of the Supreme Grand Council in 1994. But they said when the subordinate temples there. Now watch me when I come on. Bel-Air was the acting alternative for the Supreme Council. That's why he's sitting up there. All right, here we go. I think this is now. I'm taking pictures. That's why I got the pictures in the book. Braswell Bey trying to P. Diddy, y'all. All right, I'll be walking up there. Leave it right there. That's not it. Yeah. All right, they're gonna watch it. Yeah, I come. This is what the sister says. That's me, a young me, a vibrant me.
I don't even know how you want to talk about this, but Terrence Howard, you responded to him.
Cut it off. What you cutting off? All right. Now go back to the people. Go back to me. Now I'm taking pictures. They filming this. And this is what this sister say. There you go. Go back, go back. Yeah, that's what they was that Duncan Tone had on our call. That's right. Just leave it like that. Well, we're gonna leave it like that because we having problems with this stuff. Now, y'all can get y'all butts up, go on Facebook and pull up, put it under Braswell Bey, and you pull all it up for yourselves and take your time and look at it. And you see the sister say, go ahead, show that part. Since you got it back on there. Go for it, some more. All right. Now here I come. Keep that up because that's the man. This the man. That's it. Then you got to do everybody go on there. So, Braswell Bey said all this on the thing lying, and the sisters with him lying. Think about that. They don't love Allah and the Prophet. Cut it off, Mom. It's showing it again.
It's slow. It's on.
Okay. They don't love Allah and the Prophet. They ain't afraid of the last day. They don't believe there's gonna be a last day gonna be held accountable for this. They don't believe it. Because they will fear messing up in this lifetime. You know why they fear? Because you don't want to come back. I don't want to come back, but I got to. I do too much messing up not to come back. So I got to come back. But I don't want to. But I know I got to come back, and I got to accept that fact. Death ain't no enemy to man, because I know I got to come back. But these lying people, I mean, he sit up and lie. He said I stole the minutes. I stole the questionnaire, the original questionnaire. I gave that to them in 1978. I gave to my teacher, brother, Sinead, may Allah be pleased with him. I gave him a copy of the questionnaire in 1920 that the prophet put out. I gave him a copy of the questionnaire that says, who are Adam and Eve? Key 57. They wanted to cause discord in the garden was cast out. Where did they go? They went into Europe. They had it. I gave it to them. They ain't gonna turn around because they're there with P.A. Zeal in them. I mean, with Bill Eel, and ain't nobody know anything. You know, Brother Rael, he got it from us. I didn't get it from y'all. I got my original from Queen Mother, the first Queen Mother, Sister Pearl Ali. I was showing y'all that. But they lie both pantyhole legs. And that's a shame. And he's supposed to be the Supreme Grand Chief. Think about that. Now, he keeps saying he's the Supreme Grand Chief, the chairman of the Motor Scientific America. He's not. If you look at the paperwork I gave and showed you, his person said that he was the chairman of the Supreme Grand Council. There's a difference. The prophet is the chairman of the Motor Scientific America. Pick up a minister payment, he said he's the moderator. Ain't another moderator for the Motor Scientific America. I don't care who he is. Because you're not the law. The moderator calls the law. Y'all get in and put somebody's name on there. You know, he's our moderator. And he's breaking the law. The prophet law is forever. If the prophet law is forever, his position as chairman is forever. Now, you may have a convention, and then you have an acting chairman who's supposed to know the law better than you. And they had the right to say they was the chairman because they was better than all the people on their board. Billy had all that stuff, and he's out there messing with little boys. Think about that. He had all that paperwork in his house that his grandmama stole. All of that. And yet he out there trying to suck on little boys. Think about that. And the way they got Billy out of office, they got the keys made and watched him get a little boy, bring him to the house, and they came in the back door with the sister. Sister Braswell Bey. I got that letter around in somewhere they sent me. And she bear witness that she seen him naked, and the little boy pulled up his pants, running out the room. He keeps telling him, I do what the prophet say do. When you say the prophet said you can go after the little boys, I remember me and the Queen was talking about this today, or was it yesterday? I remember she was leaning on my shoulder. We was in his house. He was leaning on my shoulder while I was talking to him. And he said, Brother Ryan, I don't know how you do that. I said, what are you talking about? Do what? She's laying all up on your shoulder. I said, well, she's my wife. He said, I can't take that. I said, what? He said, he gave me an example. He said he was a supervisor at the time, and the other woman was a supervisor at the post office. They went on some boat they got over there in Indiana where you gamble at. So they had one room. They're going to share a room. He said he was laying down and she touched him. So he jumped up and said, I don't let no fish touch me. That's what he told me and my wife. He said, I can't stand for a fish to touch me. Now, who used that language other than a gun? I don't let no fish touch me. Can't stand it. My wife just looked at him. He just told on himself, I can't stand for a woman to touch me. Now, they brought this little sister up. They used to like Billy when he was children. She didn't know he was a gun. They brought her up in the temple so she could say, yeah, I liked him. He didn't like you. You know how many gumps I know? Homosexual. When I was at Glen Memorial Church, this man was married, had 4 children, but he was gay as all I do. When they found out he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. That's why I call California Disney World. Did y'all hear me say something about Disney World? I'm talking about California. Because all the people think they superstars. Mm-hmm. They all Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Because they're in a place where California is famous for what? Trickery, trickery, trickery. Now all of it's coming out, how they busting out little boys and girls in Hollywood. That's what it is, Disneyland. And Disneyland has been busted having little boys and girls. I want y'all to think about that, because we'll close out at 9:15. Any questions? No questions?
That was the only one.
I thank you for that question, brother. See, I was there, so I can talk about it. I can show evidence. Braswell Bey started talking about there was no other temples over there when they said the convention, to send the people down. So they picked their friends, but the only people they had in the temple. I remember Braswell Bey told me one convention, Brother Raya, because I was saying this, I ain't trying to get no members. What? I said, I'm trying to get my temple right. Everybody that I got in the temple now, I want them to get into the law so they can know the law and stuff, proper work. Well, brother, you got to get members. So they passed the law on me. And the law was I got to get 2 members a month. That means I should have 24 members at the end of the year. So we go to convention that year. The convention held in 1994. No, 95, because I do believe. So we got to that convention. There was only 21 people at that convention. Now think about what I just said. Only 21 people at that convention. And only 9 of them came from Temple Number 1. Everybody else brought members with them to the temple. And all they had was, they had 12 members on their book. When we had the meeting, I said, I want to know how many members y'all got here. They said, why, Brother? I said, because he told me I got to get 2 members a month. That means I got to have 24 members a year. So I want to see how y'all grew this year. Where your 24 members is. Well, brother, that was just between you and him. I said, he's the Supreme Grand Governor. How's it just between me and him? He can't issue orders of one temple. The prophet said, hey, ain't no special. I said, there's 21 people at this meeting, and only 9 of them is your members. Everybody else from out of state. He couldn't explain that. Everything Braswell Bey tried to talk about, he failed at with me. I got another letter where Peter Ville says that I still am the head representative of the Moorish Scientific America in California. He said, I hold you up in the same position you was when you came here. I came there as a grand sheik, a temple number, nothing. Because I didn't have no number on my charter. I was temple nothing. He made me grand temple number 2, and I put that on the charter. But the people that gave me the charter didn't give me a number. They said they're going to wait and see. So I was glad that I became temple number 2. I became grand temple number 2 when I started talking about where the other temples at. I said, all these temples ain't got no charters. The prophet didn't have no temples like that, uncharted temples. You calling me a grand temple and you gave me a charter. How? You call that brother grand governor of New York, but you ain't gave him a charter. You got a brother down here. You ain't gave him no grand charter. You ain't gave him a charter at all. That was the motor talked up for the mowers in the temple. So anyway, y'all ain't got no questions. We got 5 minutes. We got 8 minutes, brother. Which is 8 minutes. Anybody got any questions? Anybody? Paul said he got a question. Why do dogs go to heaven late? You go to heaven on time. Huh?
Trying to rush it.
Yeah. I got you, man. I got you. Come on. So if y'all got no questions, we're gonna close out. And like I said, look at both those videos. And if I'm in there when they sit down the Supreme Grand Council, and I showed you the record, I was over there in 1992, November 1992. Bill Hill squeezed that out when we was up there at his meeting. Is I think a Sunday school meeting, and we was talking. And he said, "Now that happened in October. I was removed I volunteered in October." I said, "I can't say nothing about that. They only told me in November. I gotta go by what I learned. I learned about you being removed from office in November, sir." He said he left office in October 1992. But he just voted in as a so-called Supreme Grand Chief in September that year. What do y'all think? And he had no official position until I left. Think about that. He had no official position. He was alternative. Even though he was gay, we still have to give him his due. If a gay man saved you from a car crash, you got to say thank you. The prophet say, all men are do their thing. All people, be it male or woman, they do their respect. He gave me tons and tons of love. When I stayed in his house, I wanted a hot box. Woo! And right down the street was a library. And I go to that library and make copies. I still make copies. They just knew when I got there, I'm making copies. And Braswell Bey didn't like that. I'm going to tell y'all this about the Supreme Council. When I came up there in 92 and was threatening Bill Hill, we went to Bill Hill house. And we sit in the Bill Hill, me, Braswell Bey, P. Davis Hill, and Bill Hill. And they're talking. Now, the brother with me was Brother James Thompson Bey. May Allah be pleased with his good. He passed. And we sit in the house. So they talking. So what they say is this here. Brother Ray, the only thing we don't know is what the power and authority of the grand body got. We don't know that. I said, I do. How you know it? I said, our teacher gave it to us. Huh? I said, Chanel gave it to us. And I reached in my bag and showed it to him. I bear witness. I gave it to Braswell Bey. He looked at it, he got his fat butt up, walked to the door and turned around and said, this is it. This is what we need. It never said on that paper that they was the grand body. No on the paper said they make law and enforce law. The prophet said that they was to interpretate what was going on. Mm-hmm. That they was to see that what's going on is right. That's why I got them with this here. I said, look at tax deemed necessary. Right there, the prophet show you what's going on. When you see tax deemed necessary, the prophet said that at a meeting that it was voted in a tax for the prophet. Now the temple said it voted in a tax for the prophet. The Supreme Council concurred. They only agreed to it. They didn't make no law. They didn't force the law. They only agreed to what took place. Don't believe me? Look at your lessons. All they do is concur or disconcur. Brother asked me about that. I said, brother, they can't go against the prophet. Who did the voting? Who declared office to vote? The prophet. And the prophet said we need a tax. And they wouldn't deny the prophet that, would they? Now today, y'all vote on everything. Y'all like the Catholic Church. Or not the Catholic Church. Y'all like the Negro churches. You can vote in your preacher, vote your preacher out. If you don't like him. Now that's strange. How do you vote somebody out to know more than you? And you talking about you a godly man. I look at that. When I was in California, they voted his head out the temple and out the church. I'm like, how do y'all do this? Y'all all the time y'all boasted. He was the most wisest teacher of the Bible. But y'all like Joe. So when Joe come up there, you vote him out of office. But Joe don't know as much as what that man before you know. Y'all vote that. The voting is crazy. I agree with Bill Hill. Y'all don't know enough to vote. Vote about what? Look at y'all voting got y'all now. Look at y'all got Trump in office. Before that, you had Biden in office. Before that, you had Obama in office. Look what your voting gave you. You don't know what to vote for. You've been watching so much TV and stuff and listening to so much stuff, subliminally, you're going to vote for your enemy. Now you're crying about they taking your civil rights away. You should have been talking about human rights from Jump Street. Oh, but who was talking about human rights? There's the Muslims. The Muslims were talking about human rights. The Black Panthers, the so-called black groups. Human rights. We used to say when God was black power. We used to say, if you're white, get back. We used to say, don't call us a nigga. When I get to be a Negro, I'll let you know. I'm not a color man. We say all that. And your leaders that took over the civil rights movement, led y'all into being African Americans. And y'all proud to be African Americans. Y'all don't want to be what y'all Moorish. I'm going to show you how deep this is. And I have the record. And this would happen in 1748 in the state of Virginia. I want y'all to know this. In the state of Virginia in 1748. That's before George Washington took over. That's before George Washington became the president of the United States. That's before you had the United States. In 1748, they passed a law in Virginia, and it stated that no Arab, no Muslim, no Negro, no Moor can have a white man or white woman as a slave. Now wait a minute. When I showed that to the people in Virginia, they had to look at it. I said, y'all acknowledge there was Moors here. Think about that. Because in your law, you say no Moors. Go to California in the race code, yeah, I think 51 and 52 said there were Moorish and Moors. Moors was here, they know it. Otherwise, they would not have in their scripture, in their constitution, in their Constitutional Convention, the idea that there was Moors. And the Moors could not have white Christians as slaves. Think about that. Why would they make that a law? Go look it up. 1748. I'm putting it in my book with the Moors on law. Why would they say no Moors? Now, when they're talking about it, they're talking about people that's free. Check this out. They saying the free Negro can't have nobody. The free Arab can't have nobody. The free Mohammedan can't have nobody. The free Moor can't have nobody. Because the only people that have slaves is free people. They tell on themselves. And you read it without knowledge. Well, they talk about Moors here. Yes, sir. But they said specifically Moors cannot have a slave. They said Moors, M-O-O-R, was in the state of Virginia. Where they come from? Where do Moors come from? In California, when they race code, they say Moors, Moorish. Where they get that from? Unless the Moors were there. And they had to be there before the Negro. Now y'all discovering that the state of California is named after Moorish queen. Don't that tell you something? They know who you are. And they know who they made. Well, we're not going to close out at 9:30. Because we passed the time. Now, don't nobody have no questions. We'll close out right now. Anybody got any questions? We'll be fair and just on this. Anybody got any questions?
No, sir.
No questions. I enjoyed tonight's class. We finna close out. Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah. Closes out, motherfucker. No, it's raining. The moon says it's raining outside. You can't go outside. What?
Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah.
Bismillah, Bismillah.
Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creative principles. We ask this in the holy name and of the seven Elohim. Amen. Islam, Islam, Islam.
If the truth be told.
What is this? Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this. The chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council, they stood up and say the prophet's grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go. Yeah. And I said I will continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I said, all is well with that idea. But guess what? The grand body still, but the grand body still, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.